it's Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing card number 2 in my holiday card series for 2016. And today we're going to be using this stamp set from Sunny Studio called Holiday Style. I was so anxious to get this stamp set in. I recently ordered this from Butterfly Reflections Inc. and she recently got a shipment of these stamp sets in because I wasn't able to get it when it initially came out, and as soon as she said that she had it in stock, I immediately jumped on it. So, because I knew this is one of the ones I had to have for this year. So we're going to start off by creating my little scene here, and I'm going to be using all Lawn Fawn inks today to do all of my stamping, and I'm going to be using my Misty, my mini Misty, primarily for all the stamping because I want really great impressions and really rich colors for my little scene here. So I'm starting off by stamping out my little branch, and I'm going to be doing this in several different places on my white card panel here. This is my favorite white cardstock, which is the Paper Tray Ink Stamper Select White cardstock. And I'm inking this up with jalapeno ink from Lawn Fawn. So I stamped that down twice because this is the first time that I have used this stamp. So I did want to make sure that I had a really, really great impression of this stamp. So now that I've got my first impression, I'm going to remove my stamp from the door here, my Misty, and I'm going to reposition it in a place where I want to restamp it. And now I'm going to take Noble Fur, also from Lawn Fawn. This is a darker green, and I wanted some variation in my branch colors, if you will, just to give it a little bit of depth and dimension and a more realistic look, if you will. So I'm going to stamp that down, and I am going to do, even though this is a darker ink, I am going to stamp that down one more time, just a little bit. It does look dark at first, but it will, once it soaks into the paper, it will even out and it will soften as well. So I've got that stamped exactly where I want it. And now I'm going to remove my stamp, clean it off, and remove my stamp once more. And I'm going to position it in the upper left-hand corner a little bit because I wanted a little bit of pattern up there at the corner there. And it will hang off my Misty door just a little bit. So as I'm going to be stamping this, you'll notice that I'm having to add a little bit more of extra pressure. That's because the stamp on the end was kind of hitting the edge of my Misty, and it wasn't obviously getting contact with my paper. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting good contact with my paper here. So that's why I'm stamping really, really hard here. And so I'm going to ink it up one more time and then stamp that down. And then I was really pretty pleased with the end result of how my branches looked. So I went ahead and moved on to my sentiment. I am using the sentiment obviously from the same stamp set, Believe in the Magic of Christmas, and I'm going to ink this up with my lobster ink from Lawn Fawn. I have mentioned in past videos that this is my favorite red ink. It is just one of the more gorgeous reds that I own in my ink collection, and I love using it. So I am going to again stamp this twice because I love the ability of the Misty for that, and so I really like to take advantage of being able to stamp it down twice to make sure I get a really good impression and clear impression of my sentiments and my stamping. So I've got that, and I really do like how that is looking. So now I'm going to move on to a little bit more elements of the stamp set here. I'm going to be stamping out the Jingle Bell. You do see in the upper left hand corner there that I've already stamped out a bow and a Jingle Bell, and that's simply because I was testing this before I started filming because these stamps are new, and I wanted to make sure that I was more or less priming my stamps before I created my tutorial today. So I won't be using what you see in the corner. I wanted to obviously stamp these on camera, so you just ignore those in the corner there. But the ones that I'm stamping down right now are the ones that I'm going to be using on my card today. So I'm stamping that down, and I'm starting off with my lighter ink, which is the Manatee, I believe. And now I'm going to move on to my darker gray, which is, not sure. I'm not sure exactly what color this gray is at the moment, but all of the supplies obviously are listed in the description bar below, as I always have them there. So I'm going to list and link all of the supplies that I use, inks and everything. So I'm stamping this twice, and then I'm going to get it all lined up. I cut out the footage of me kind of lining these up because I don't want y'all to see all it is. It's just me lining up my stamps, but that part is boring. So I cleaned off my stamps, and now I'm stamping down the third image of the Jingle Bell, and it just really just brings it to life. I mean, you guys, look at that. That is just so cool how that happens like that. It's just that's one of the reasons why I just had to have. I love stamps like this, and it just brings such joy to my heart. So how realistic it looks, it's crazy, and it doesn't even look like it's a stamped image. So I'm going to move on to my little bow here, and I'm going to stamp down. I'm going to be using all reds, and I'm going to be using guava. This is guava, and I'm going to use that as my lightest shade here for my bow. And then I'm going to move on to stamping the second stamp of this bow, which is going to be lobster. So I'm getting that onto my Misty here. I'm going to ink that up with lobster. And the bow is actually easier to line up better or easier than the Jingle Bell. It took me a little bit of longer time to line up the Jingle Bell, but the bow is fairly simple to line up, and it doesn't take as long. So I'm inking up that with the lobster ink like I mentioned. So I'm going to stamp that down and stamp that twice. And then I'm going to move on to my darker color, my darkest shade of red, which is going to be the chili pepper. And I really do love how these stamps, obviously they're intended to create dimension and depth in your images, but it's just so much fun as it's coming together, how it's transforming right before your eyes. It's just really, really fun. So I highly recommend this stamp set once it is back in stock, if it's not already. If you are interested in stamps in this stamp set, I highly recommend grabbing it because it's just such fun stamp set to play with. And I think I'm going to be using it for my Christmas cards this year because it's just such an elegant way to create a card. So I'm kind of showing you up close here the images. I did use the coordinating dies to cut these out. So now I'm going to work on putting together my little Jingle Bell onto my panel here. I debated on whether or not to stamp out the little hook onto the branches itself, but then I just decided just to go ahead and stamp it and then cut it out with the die. It's fine. So now I'm positioning the Jingle Bell, and I wanted to add a little bit of dimension to this since everything is so flat on the card as it stands right now. So I'm going to line that up, and you kind of see where I'm not obviously connecting it to the hook here. And the reason for that is because I am going to be adding the bow right in the middle, but I didn't, if I added it right up against the hook there, the bow itself would have covered up the star on the Jingle Bell, and I didn't want that. That's what's part of the cool effect of this Jingle Bell. So that's why I applied it the way I did, and it still looks like it's still hanging there, and you don't see any gaps or anything like that. It looks like it's intended to be like that. So you can see how that's coming together just like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my main panel here. Off camera, I did go ahead and die cut a piece of red cardstock. This is Pure Poppy cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. And I used one of my scalloped rectangles from Lawn Fawn to die cut this out. And I just love the added dimension or the added pop of red because it brings out the bow and the sentiment on my card today. So I added some the liquid glue, my multi matte glue, and then I'm going to use, I debated on whether or not to pop up this whole panel onto my card base, but I decided against it. Just use my glue to go ahead and use that again to apply it to my card, because I imagine this will be one of those cards that I do mail put in the mail for this holiday season. So just to finish up, to add some extra detail, I'm going to go ahead and add some Wink of Stella to my bow here. And I wanted to add a lot of shimmer because what's a Christmas card without shimmer? And it just adds to it. It's just such a fun element to add to the design. And then I decided to go ahead and add a little bit of a sentiment on the inside of my card. So this also is from the same stamp set. And I'm stamping down the wishing you, and then I'm going to ink up the joy sentiment in the red lobster ink, or the lobster ink, and stamp that down. And then that's going to complete the card. And I'm going to slow this down here so you can see all of the shine and shimmer and all the detail to the card. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and got some really good ideas on how to use this stamp set. It's really a fun one, you guys. I really do highly recommend it. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Please visit my blog for more details, and I will catch y'all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Música